I need a marketing specialist, and you are the very best.
Excuse me? What are you doing here?
I tracked you down because I felt we had a connection.
What?
I'm joking. I work here now to sell the moon.
Scarlett, this is your first big producing credit. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What made you decide to pick one of the biggest conspiracy theories about the moon landing and turn it into a romantic comedy?
That's interesting. Yeah, I know. You're like, what? I myself am a deep conspiracy theorist. I'm finding it out here on Rotten Tomatoes. This idea this film came from an original idea that was like bouncing around. I have a production office in New York called These Pictures, and we sort of were just toying around with the idea of like, what if there was truth to this? What if there was a contingency plan? Like, just kind of taking and run with it and going with it. Like, could loving this genre of film, and does it like fit into that? Is there something to that? And honestly, the script came in. Rose Gilroy wrote the script. She's so talented. She comes from an amazing family of incredible writers. She herself is such a wonderful, wonderful young writer. And the tone of the script was so great. I loved reading it so much. I found it so entertaining. And you just don't get scripts like that. I mean, I know, we read so much, and it was so unusual to me that I felt like I can't let somebody else play this part. I would be like super jealous. And
so you weren't originally going to play?
No, I actually was just like developing it to somebody else, and then I just thought like, I can't, like, who else is going to?
That's what happens.
All right, you get like, I know, I was like, I'm going to be like,
yeah, we're just going to make it really good, and then I won't want to do it. And then you're like, why wouldn't I do this? This is really good. This is really, really good.
Because it's so hard to make films, so you just don't think, you're like, I'm always like, I don't know, to get to work. It's like such a sort of uphill battle, because it's so much, it's such a huge investment of every part of you. It's so hard. Yeah. And so I'm always resistant. And then the scripts came in, and it was so amazing. I just couldn't say no.
Yeah, I always have a hard time like going like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if it's not just the job. It's like, I don't want to fail. I don't want to like do this. And if I think someone else can do it better, I definitely won't even touch it. But those ones come along, and then you're just like, no one's doing this.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, this is such a serious turn for you, and you got to flex a little bit. So
yeah, it was cool. I don't think anybody ever thinks of me and NASA. But I got to play a really, I think someone that I probably haven't gotten to really do before, and I really enjoyed it. To get to play a little bit of the comedy, but also keep the heart and the dramatic side of things, a little tighter, because he's just white knuckling every day, and she's just coming in kicking over all of his like stacks of toys like the whole time.
Did you get a chance to talk to any real life engineers or any people that were there at that time?
We did get to talk to I think one of the control room, God, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was in the control room the day of the landing, and but I didn't really get to talk to him other than he was in the scene, so I didn't talk to him before we got started, because most of the movie is not technical, on my side. It's more, playing around with her and just being just absolutely going out of my mind because she's like messing up everything.
Yeah, Cole, he's such a good guy.
Well, the two of you have such great chemistry on screen, and it's so much fun to watch. Can you each name a scene that you each other did? Like, can you name one of Scarlett that you think was amazing, and can you name one that Channing did that you thought was phenomenal?
In the movie?
You're always so good in the film. I mean, like, you're just such a, like, you are. He's like he has such humility, and that's what's so great about, like, you're obviously, like, you're fronting with all this, like, frustration and all that, but you have such humility to your performance. I think that's what makes the character so likable, because I think you could play it in a way that was, like, so hard, and, like, you're so, I don't know, there's just such a, like, a vulnerability to how you play it. It really goes against, like, what I think is on the page. I love that.
Thanks.
He's always so great.
One of mine is Scarlett's so, like, she's just ahead, and she's almost like enjoying it, even though there's stress underneath it. She's like, she's just playing everyone and playing, like, she's just so light and fast. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she just drops into this, like, 2-page monologue and then, like, completely, like, rips your heart out, like, with a perfect tear at the perfect moment in the middle of the monologue. And I'm like, wait, whoa, we were just having fun here. What happened? Like, you just all of a sudden jumped into a different movie. And I forgot that she really does this and been doing it for a really long time. And, because you can get complacent on a movie in a way, because you're just like, oh, we're just going to go in and play and joust and quip.
Although we
and,
had scenes, like, we had one scene where we actually, like, we have kind of, I found it to be the most interesting scene because he has this, like, turn that happens, like, where he's basically put on the spot and is, like, like, triggering for him, and he has kind of an explosive, like, anger, like, moment, and then my character's really upset with him for blowing, like, the opportunity and, like, not keeping it together, which is interesting because you expect her to be sympathetic, which I think she is, like, in theory, but she's like, there's a time and place for it, and we really don't see eye to eye in that moment. And, like, I think that was a really fun scene for us to play because we both got to be, we both felt so strongly about, like, what, like, our point of view. And I thought you were great in that scene. It was, like, fun to do. Cause,
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. We got to see all the different sides because this movie is really interesting in that way that it's not just like, it is a comedy and it does have this, like, light tone to it, but it's about something that's very serious and a massive moment in the world's history, not just America's. And yeah, you can't take it lightly either.
And what was it like when you saw that moon landing set for the first time? I know you saw it later, probably, but what was that like after all of the fighting to get the film made?
It looked incredible. Like, I could not believe it. So we basically, not really a spoiler alert, but we recreate the lunar surface, and on the surface there's, like, the LEM, and then there's the astronauts, and all the guys that were playing the astronauts are all stunt guys, and they had completely choreographed, like, to the T, the exact motions that, Neil and Buzz and those guys are, like, calling out. And so watching, like, hearing the audio of the actual moon landing and then watching the guys do it on, like, they're on wires, so you see, like, they're like, the gravity and, like, how they're, moving. And it was so surreal. It was so strange. And Woody was with me too. And of course, Woody's like, see, I told you it was fake. I was like, oh my God.
He's a full conspiracy theorist.
Completely 100%. He's like, yep, you guys nailed it.
I just felt betrayed personally. I still feel betrayed to this day. I still can't believe it.
My final question, and this one is for you, Channing. You've had a lot of physically demanding roles in your career, but I would like to know what was more difficult, acting with Mischief the cat or dancing full out in costume with Beyonce?
Whoa. Mischief was fine. Mischief was like...
well behaved.
It's like better behaved than both of us in a way. And cats are, I had very low expectations for, like, how that was going to go. And Mischief was amazing. There was 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
Two or three.
There was, like, a good one.
Yeah. There was a good one. I do remember that.
Like, break out the good one.
Beyonce, I almost don't remember it. I was so out of my body. Like, I was like, when I say, because I was supposed to do a whole dance before that, and then that had to go first. And I was truly like trembling, and like I was like, okay. I don't even think I even lip synced the song as much as I was dancing. And then I was like, here she comes. And I hadn't actually met her. I didn't meet her backstage. I didn't know her before that moment. I had just, like, texted her assistant as a joke because I wanted to bring out a cardboard cutout of her because I didn't think she would ever show up. And then she was like, yeah, I'll come and do it. And I was like, huh? What? You gonna... She's like, yeah, maybe. I think I'm in town. And I was like, okay. And then didn't meet her. She's like, shows up and she's like, all right, I'm ready. And I'm like in full makeup. I'm like getting my hair and everything done. And they're like, well, she can only do it if we go now. So I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, can I meet her? And they're like, we got to go if we want to do this.
Oh,
so and I'm like, oh, okay. So I like go out. We do the whole dance, and then she comes out, and I'm dancing next to her. I'm just like, this is crazy. And then I'm like, hi. Like, I think I go in to hug her, and we like headbutt. It's like, it's so silly. It was crazy. I was so scared.
So Mischief won that round.
Yeah, without question. I mean, you look, if you're gonna dance with Bae, you better bring it. Like, yeah, it was terrifying.
No one can ever know what we're doing.
I cannot accept that.
They will shoot you.
What is my budget?
Jim, I actually have a trivia, a bit of trivia for you. No, it's not a quiz.
Okay.
I just want to know if you know this.
Okay.
Did you know that you were the first character cast for the film?
No.
Jim!
Is that true?
That is true. You can check with Greg on that. You were
Oh,
the
I had
first.
no idea.
Not Scarlett or Channing?
Well, I'm
After them, I guess.
Well, yeah, after.
after the
Scott's
offers.
Scott's
the
kind of
people,
important to the film.
yeah,
You're
the people
right.
who had to get on Zoom like
Wow.
us and try to earn our spot. That's amazing. I
And
had
can
no
I say,
idea.
not to make it about me, but I do think I was the last.
Oh, really? Is that true?
Yeah.
I can't confirm or deny.
But those are two great spots.
Those are great spots to
actually.
be.
You know, you bring it home.
Yeah, and you-
I start,
you start
and,
us
they,
off.
and they work to get it better.
Yeah.
Like they cast me and they go, it'll get better.
So, Jim, your character, Lance, the director,
Mm-hmm.
he feels awfully familiar. Did you pull from any directors that we
Nothing
might
that's
know?
going to come out of my mouth, but apparently you have somebody. No, I just sort of like created what I thought. Well, I should also say, based on the description and in what was on the page, you could feel what was coming at you, you know, in that sort of mile a minute rant about the injustices on the set, you know, and so there was stuff there, but I also think coming from the Groundlings, that's such a fun world that we live in, you know. I think we all find amusement in the industry, so yeah, if I can pull from.
So there's definitely some improv there then.
Yes, I think that was kind of the spirit. I mean, we absolutely shot the great script and did runs with just that, and then Greg would have us unleash it a little bit, you know, and see if something comes up.
Now, Anna, Ruby feels like the voice of reason for Scarlett Johansson's Kelly, but she's got a mind of her own. So, do you think she's her moral compass, or do you think she's a little bit more than that?
I think that my understanding is that they know each other intimately. I think that, like, Ruby knows where Kelly exceeds and doesn't, and I think she's able to, without, you know, in an overpowering way, like, keep her on track. I think that Ruby has strong morals, and I think that she stands with them, and I think her love for Kelly definitely, like, you know, she's willing to bend, and in the beginning of the movie, they sort of, like, take a lot of pleasure in, like, sort of, you know, pulling one over the guys, but I think that she does, yeah, act as that.
Do you think that, really important question, who played the better director? Jim or Greg?
Oh, heavens. Played the better director, Jim.
Okay.
Was the better director.
That is fair.
Correct.
That is
Nice,
I
fair.
crushed that
nice,
episode.
Yes, you did.
Nice negotiating.
Nailed it.
Still mad about it.
Yeah.
So you nice negotiating. It was a soft landing from my ego.
Now, I'm curious, period pieces like this, you know, often have really good sets and incredible costumes, but this was so grandiose. Was there any set, like when you were on like the lunar landing set, was it mind-boggling how incredible that lunar landing building was?
When we first saw it, it was breathtaking. It's so big. It's bigger than you can even imagine. And I every day would beg, can I please go on the catwalk? Can I please, and like look at it from above? And they were
Yeah.
like, Anna, it's very dangerous. And the very last day they let me
We
go up
did
there.
go up there, and I will say, maybe 30 seconds later, I regretted being up there. I wanted to go around
It's
because
so
it sways it's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the
It
safest
moves.
situation.
But the sets were amazing. The attention to detail, just everything that went into it.
One of my favorite sets is Kelly and I's office at NASA. There was even a little montage where I got to like decorate a wall and put the art up, and then the art stayed there for portions of the movie. So it kind of felt like our office in many ways, and it was filled with products that were from the time period, and it just, yeah, it felt really like I worked there.
And your clothes were fabulous.
Oh,
So,
all the clothes, but
Did
yes.
anybody take anything? Did you take any chaskeys? Did you take a tie?
I'm pursuing one, but
Yeah.
most of that stuff was pulled in vintage, so good luck getting it.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be great to, I wish someone would show us the history of some of those pieces, because I'm sure they were in other movies or existed in something. But anyway, the green jumpsuit I'm trying to track down. I want it so bad.
The dress I tried to steal was from the day
Was it the flowers at the bottom?
Yes, it's a blue dress. It's got embroidered flowers on top,
Yep.
a turtleneck, and then embroidered flowers on the bottom.
Yep, she
It
couldn't
was-
stop talking about it.
I was like, I love this dress. I tried to steal
awesome.
it. Didn't work.
There's so much history, real history, in this film. Did either of you get to talk to any people that were actually at the Apollo 11 launch or had worked at Cape Canaveral?
I wished you got. Well,
I got
you
to-
saw
I got
more
to
than
meet-
I did.
I got to meet a few NASA employees, which was really cool. I don't believe I spoke with anyone that was actually at the moon landing itself. But yeah, meeting people that worked at NASA was amazing because it's such a big part of our history, and it's continues to be. And so the people that work there, I think, take so much pride in the fact that it's like they're still doing moon missions and they're still launching stuff into space weekly. It's wild.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We when we were there for 2 weeks, we saw 3 rockets launch.
And it's just like nothing now.
Yeah.
And then it was such a spectacle.
There's the 9 p.m.
There's the 9 p.m. There's the 10:30.
The 10:30. It's hard to get on the 10:30.
Yeah, it's tough.
That one's the important one.
When you were researching your character, did you also look into any of the women that worked actually at NASA? Did you find any interesting historical facts?
You know, so in the room, was it not mission control, the control center?
Control center.
Yeah, control center, where they all are like go for launch. What you know, there was one woman that actually worked there. There was only one woman that worked in there on that day, and they represented that in the movie. There was
they
one.
did?
There's one woman in control
Oh, yeah.
center. Yeah,
That's
and I can't
awesome.
remember her name, but she existed, and they put a woman in there.
That's awesome. It sounds like the attention to detail was really,
It was
really important.
Nuts. I mean, the level of detail was insane. More detail than the real world, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
Were there people putting grains of sand back where they were supposed to be? On the
No, but no,
no,
not that detail, but very much so. Like just the dust itself.
I will reference. I've referenced this once before, but we shot at a restaurant, Wolfie's. There was a kids menu, and it had there was a full menu that was in the shot, and then they had this backup kids menu, and it had all the prices. It said that it was like 1969 at the bottom. It was in the shape of an astronaut's head, and they made hundreds of them. Never made it into the movie, but it's like it was such an amazing
Yeah.
detail. I was like, this is a real diner. It was so cool.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, most important performance, I think, in the film, Mischief.
The cat.
Oh, the cat.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible. in the
How
movie.
difficult was Mischief to work with?
Well.
If we're being honest, some days were tough. There were 3 cats.
Okay.
Yeah.
There were 3.
Yeah.
And they all had different personalities.
That's
Go
right.
ahead, what were you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say what were their personalities?
One of them was named like Chestnut.
I only remember
What was the other one?
Mischief, but I don't remember that third one.
Oh, their actual names. I thought you meant their personalities, like Yakko, Wacko, and Dot or something.
Oh yeah, one was mischievous.
One was mischievous.
One was like
One was shy.
One was shy, and one was like real spunky.
They all sort of took turns doing different parts of the movie.
Yes,
and
some were better
And some days
clicking.
they weren't available, so it's like the shy one would have to do the adventurous thing, and they would get
Yes,
scared.
or they get switched out because one wasn't doing what
One was having
needed
a bad
to.
day.
But they were pretty incredible. I think they did everything in the movie.
They did everything.
So
in
there
the
was
movie.
no CGI.
I don't think so, but
Wow,
Greg
cat's
would know
all
better
there.
than us.
Yeah.
But I don't think so.
I don't
Not on
know.
the cat.
And the cat trainers were amazing.
Yeah.
They like had all these clickers
Clickers.
and buttons, and the cats knew. It's very cool.
Because there were places where, like when whichever cat was, let's just say Mischief for argument's sake,
Okay,
Mischief will
great.
get upset, went out and went around his leg.
The astronaut's leg.
Yeah, there wasn't a really great place to hide.
Right.
So I think they put a little snack behind, a little treat behind his leg to get Mischief to go and do a little circle.
Yeah. I think the cat is such a fun element to the movie. I
It
think
is.
when he finally lands on the moon, it's like such an amazing movie moment.
Yeah.
When I'm done, those men are going to be bigger than the Beatles.
Who is that?
For me, this is very personal.
He's got my name.
Greg, it's been a while since you've directed a feature.
Yes.
What made Fly Me to the Moon the one to get you back in the chair?
You know, it's true, I'm not a director by nature. I just consider myself more a storyteller, and this story I was immediately drawn to. I mean, it reminded me when I read it of all the movies I grew up watching that there were so many big movie star movies with original stories, and every weekend you could go and not know what was going to happen and see the outfits and be transported to a time or a moment or wherever and on an adventure. And this script pulled me in that way. And then the fact that Scarlett, as a producer and an actor, was using her prowess at this moment in her career and her life to tell one of those stories, I thought, oh, that's an amazing opportunity. And I'll have a lot of tools maybe I haven't had before, and get to work with folks like Ray Romano and things like that I hadn't had an opportunity to do too. So that was very exciting.
Now, Ray, I do have a question for you. I heard that Greg wrote you a letter and convinced you to take the role. What was in that letter?
Well, the letter didn't convince me to take the role. The letter convinced me to take a meeting with him. He basically was fanboying on me, which I was very flattered. But in this business, you don't know what's real and what isn't real, because I've been the director who's trying to get an actor to be in my movie, and I've written letters. I've written letters like that. So I met with him because I did enjoy the script, and the idea of being in this movie was intriguing. And I met with him, and I realized, he's really genuine and a great guy. And I started to believe the letter when he started. Well, he started only because you started quoting my stand-up.
I could do it right now. I remember the very first time I saw you perform and how connected I felt to his. He represents so many of us.
Don't do it. You don't have to do it now. I believe you.
No, I won't do it as well as you, so I'm not going to do that to myself.
But it was very cool. Very cool.
Now, I'm a bit of a geek, and half my team did not know what I was talking about when I was saying, this is one of the biggest conspiracy theories in history.
Yes.
That they're turning into a romantic comedy.
Yes.
Was it like that for you? Were you geeking out at all of the things that you were able to do, especially being in Florida?
Well, I think the fact that NASA from the very beginning was so involved in it, we knew that we were also going to revere the program, and as much about celebrating what was actually accomplished. But yeah, we had to do it by embracing, going underneath this fake story to say, why is the truth so important? And let's embrace that. And so technically we had to actually think about, oh my gosh, how would they have actually faked the moon landing? Not today, but how would they have faked shooting it in 1969 with 1969 technology? And that was its own separate, challenge and opportunity and nightmare, and so it was pretty vast. A lot of the things in the movie that we got to recreate, whether it was the firing room where they launched the rockets, whether it was the fake moon set where it was the size of a baseball field, the LEM itself, being able to stand next to the LEM, the exact scale and size that it was that went down to the moon surface and came back, it was all, there was one thing after another every day like that on this movie.
Were you able to, and we know this is fiction, but were you able to talk to any of the real life people that were there? And were you able to pattern any characters, like Gray's character, for instance, off of a real life person?
Well, there was a gentleman named, I think was Rocco Perone, who was the original launch director. So he would have been in Channing Tatum's role, actually. Okay. But the director of launch services down there, who, if you go, he actually looks like me or Ray. I mean, he looks like an Italian-American guy who was just he's still, and there's men, so many men and women that worked on the program. There were 500,000 people that had been lost to time, who sacrificed both personally and how extreme or it may have been, it's not as told today. Mm-hmm. And so that was a real, I think getting to personify some of those people in our characters was terrific.
There were weren't there a couple people on the set that I my memory's bad, but I met
yes, we did. We had a gentleman who was actually part of the firing room who walked on the set for the fire reconstructed and was moved to tears because it felt like, we had that set. We had every video playing that was actually playing on the day. We had the set on rockers so we could rock the set. So when the launch happened, we could simulate the whole launch for everybody.
Yeah. No, I remember meeting him. I of course don't remember his name because I'm old, but I remember he said he was there. He was in there, and that was.
We had Frank and Jerry.
Yeah.
We had those were our two gentlemen. They've worked on some of the other Apollo movies and things like that as well. Right.
Now, Ray, since you brought it up, you were probably the only person we're interviewing today that was alive when the actual Apollo 13 went up, when the rocket went up. You were a boy, obviously, but do you remember any of the excitement of that day?
I do.
Were you able to share any of that with the cast?
I was 11 years old, and I watched it with actually my mom and dad were separated at that time, so it was just my mom. So thanks for bringing it up. No, they got back together though. They got back together. But I watched it with my brother. My younger brother was too young. He would have been 4 years old, so he doesn't remember. But I do remember how big it was, and you know, what an achievement it was. I mean, look, I was 11, so it didn't resonate with me as much as it did someone older, but I felt it. I felt how massive this achievement was. And yeah, I would tell some of the young kids on the set, you know, I would tell Noah, and they were not listening to me because they were on their phone. No.
Last question, because I'm fascinated by this. Mischief the cat was not CGI.
Nope. All real.
Why did
Three
you make
cats.
the
Well, I'm
decision?
allergic to cats, so I was not looking forward to working with a cat. I couldn't even stay in the same room as them. But we had 3 cats. The only thing that was CGI, a few shots where we couldn't put him in peril and put him, you know, up above in the rafters. So we had to take what we shot down below and the 6 foot or 8 feet up and put it up there. But every performance is by an actual cat, especially in this day and age. And he ended up being, you know, I mean, it was incredibly easy actor to work with. I have to say,
Yeah.
they did everything I needed them to do. They were terrific. You had to chase the cat.
He had a bigger trailer than me. That's what I was a little pissed off. Yeah.